Hey Pinkers, I'm Mike Levy. We're here in Eurobike in Germany. I'm here with Lori Barrett. She's the VP of Development for Rotor, and we're looking at their 1x13 hydraulic group set. 13 cogs in the back.
World's first. It's what we do.
Yeah, world's first. So, first of all, tell me how this operates. When you push the lever, tell me what happens.
Well, so it's a hydraulic actuated group set. It's kind of interesting. The indexing mechanism is actually in the rear derailleur, obviously along with the clutch system.
So you've done something pretty cool here with the hydraulic shifter and how it works. You can set it up a few different ways. Can you tell me about this?
Yeah, so basically you can either set it up with a double paddle system or a single paddle system. So the throw of the shifter, like how far you push it, can set it up sort of like a SRAM system where it pushes through and you shift higher up the cassette, or to shift down you just give it a softer click. Or you can set it up with two paddles, at which point then you can run it almost more like a Shimano where one goes up, one goes down.
Okay. So there being no derailleur cable, it's hydraulic. When it comes to installation and setup, is it similar to like bleeding a brake? You put it on, you bleed it, and it's good to go?
Yes, so basically it's a set and forget system. That's one of the really cool things about it, is that basically it's, you bleed it once a year, sort of like your brakes, but since there's no heat that accumulates with shifting, you don't need reservoirs, so all of the pressure is contained within the cable.
Now what happens if I'm riding down the trail and a stick snags on the line here and it tugs it out or rips it? What happens?
So it is possible, but I mean, it's unlikely. We also have a clutch system where you can set it if it were to break and you were to lose all of that tension, you can put it on a cog and set it to leave it there.
Interesting, okay. Now, you do a bunch of different cassettes. You do 12-speed cassettes, you do 13-speed cassettes, but you don't do a 13-speed chain. You guys say that a 12-speed chain works with a 13-speed cassette.
That's right.
How is that possible?
So the spacing is the same. We also partner with KMC on the chains. So there are people that are really good at brakes, so we partner with Magura on those for the complete group sets. There are people that are really good at chains, so we partner with KMC for our chains. But yeah, the spacing is the same, so it works.
Okay. So to make that happen, basically, if the spacing is the same but there's one more cog, it's that inner flange that's pushed in, right?
Yes, exactly. So basically the 12-speed cassette will work on a traditional Shimano Freehub body, right? And then the 13-speed cassette is you have to use our hub, because basically in order to make the spacing work for the 13th cog, we move the flange in slightly. So it changes the dish of the wheel a little bit, but doesn't affect anything else.
Okay. And that's a 1052.
That's right.
And then that 10-tooth cog, does that fit inboard of the Freehub body? Is that how it works?
Yes, it's all inboard.
Now the other thing is, this group, it's not just for mountain. You've done it for road, gravel, it's modular.
That's right.
So how does that work?
So basically it's the same rear derailleur, and it's compatible either 12 or 13 speed. So we also came out with 4 12-speed cassettes and then 4 13-speed cassettes.
Nothing changes on the derailleur between 12 and 13?
Nope. Yeah, and basically with the derailleur, we'll either sell it with simply a road shifter or obviously the mountain paddles. So it's the same system. On the road system, it's a closed system with a barrel adjuster to adjust pressure within the system. On the mountain, it's an open system without that barrel adjuster.
So you guys have had a hydraulic group set before. I don't think I'd ever seen it in the wild, to be honest with you. Like, I've seen a lot of photos of it, and I always thought trade shows very interesting, but I never saw people using it. As far as availability goes, that original hydraulic group, that was available, right? Like people could purchase it. It still is.
Yeah.
And this one is also going to be available. When is that going to happen?
So we're looking at spring of 2019 for actual in North America. Europe, it might be a little earlier.
Price-wise?
We're still sorting that out, but it'll be comparable with competition.
So any sort of high-end group like this, obviously weight is a big factor. How much does this thing weigh? Is it heavier because it's hydraulic?
No, actually hydraulic lightens it up because you lose a lot of cable weight, which is cool. So you were talking earlier about the Uno 2x road group. So that is the lightest disc brake road group on the market. So it's a couple 100 grams lighter than a SRAM hydro group. So that's exciting. So we basically wanted to have the same kind of benchmark for this. So even though it's a 13-speed, right now it's weighing in maybe 30 grams more than 12-speed groups, which is pretty cool. So that's including the 10x52 cassette. So I have a version of that here. Oh, this is the 1146.
Okay.
And
12-speed cassette.
12-speed cassette,
Yes.
right. And the 1052 though is at 330 grams, which is quite light.
That's aluminum top section here
Ooh,
and
yes.
that steel section here.
It is.
Is this what happens if somebody wears, this cog out here? Can they buy just this section?
So that is the plan, and we do have that for our road cassette. One of the interesting things, this is a single piece of hardened steel here, which is pretty cool, and the pins to attach it are actually only at the top of the cassette. Yeah. So, like for instance, on the road side, we have, this makes it compatible with 10 and 11 speed Freehub bodies because it just affects the dish in the back.
Okay.
So your 1x road is kind of forward compatible, which is cool.